You mentioned Tom Wilson.
Yes.
And Kevin Bowe and I, thanks to you getting Tom on the Rick and Bubba show, which is a local radio station, local radio show based out of Birmingham. Tom came and performed at the Stardome Comedy Club, and I don't remember the year. It's 2012.
That would have been that was 2005, I believe. 2005, 2006.
What?
No, 2008. 2008.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So it was a while back, but I remember you had gotten him onto the show and everything, and so the three of us, we all went up there and got to meet him after the show. Enjoyed the show. He's funny. My goodness, he's funny.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so short story on that.
Oh, this is good.
Guess who was the goober who wore the brightly colored shirt? and I was really easy to pick out in the crowd. And guess who got picked on?
Oh,
we were sitting near the front too.
Yeah, we were. Yeah. So it made it even worse. So he picked on me mercilessly, and I couldn't have been any happier. He is so phenomenal.
I was gonna say,
oh yeah.
I think you referred to Brock, Kevin, and I as like all eHarmony friends hanging out looking.
Tom had he had a comedy CD that came out in 2005, but he had come through the Rick and Bubba show. They were doing YouTube, and I don't know if they were doing YouTube, but they were doing broadcast on TV at the time as well. And I will clarify, the Stardome brought him in, so the Stardome booked him in all these shows. Yeah. But I did go and sit in the audience with him at Rick and Bubba, so I did not actually bring him to Rick and Bubba. I had been I had sat in the golden ticket seats. Myself, earlier the year before with my family, and so I knew the drill. And so when I knew that he would be doing a lot of PR for his appearance at the Stardome, and so I contacted him, and he was gracious enough to let his buddy from Alabama tag along, and so we did go to Rick and Bubba's show. That was the last one. We did a lot of shows before that, but got to sit in the audience, and he pulled out a lot of stories, Biff stories and things he normally does not tell. But since I was there, he was very gracious to tell a lot of the stories he usually doesn't tell anymore. But that was a lot of fun. And it was the first time I'd actually been to actually see him perform stand up. And so that was a real treat to be there with him and sit in the green room and hang out before the show and after the show. And I've had a lot of adventures with Tom Wilson over the years.
I love his I love his song.
The question song.
The question song. Yes.
Yeah, and he does that even though in the show he's very clear where he's like, I'm not going to do Back to the Future stuff. I'm known for more than that. But then he does the song.
Yeah.
He says, I've got this song that I will answer everything all in 3 minutes, and then we're done with it.
Yeah. And he was done.
That was it.
So,
but he was super nice. And it was thanks to that. And I actually saw you on the Rick and Bubba broadcast, because I remember I was sitting in
wow.
That's how I knew you were involved in some way, shape, or form. It's because I was sitting there at my desk at work, and
if Tom Wilson's going to be in Alabama or Tennessee, trust me, I'm going to. Stephen Clark's going to be nearby somewhere.
Well, because of our connection, yourself and me, I was able to friend Tom on Facebook, and I think he has since jumped off there. But I got to tell you, this guy has a heart of gold. You everybody thinks of him as big bad Biff, but there was Dan Aykroyd, because we're also Ghostbusters fans. Dan Aykroyd was going to be in Huntsville. Bo, you went to go meet him. He was doing a signing up there, and I was wanting to go, but my daughter was having one of her first recitals at preschool, and so I had made a post, had never really interacted with Tom on there, but I made a post. I said, Dan Aykroyd's in the state. I would love to go see him, but I can't because I'm, I'm enjoying my morning with my daughter, her recital.
Mhm.
And I never will forget, and this will stick with me
Yep.
until my memory disappears or till the day I die. But the one time that Tom and I interacted, he commented, he's like, "Will Dan Aykroyd ever cry at your funeral?" And I went, "You know what? You're absolutely right." So he gave me a
Wow.
good life fatherly insight that day.
Tom is a tremendous family man. He's got 4 kids. He's got I think that many grandkids now,
Oh
and
wow.
Tom is just phenomenal. He's a very spiritual man. I've been with him on a lot of adventures and had a
Mhm.
lot of time to talk about spiritual things with him, which is very gratifying to have friends in Hollywood that you can speak with on that level. And Claudia is another one that is very spiritual, and so that's who I am. I'm a very spiritual man. I'm a very I'm a big family man too, and so yeah. Anytime I get any advice from Tom Wilson about family, I take it very serious, and I listen very intently. So
And I had no idea his talent with art and things
oh
like that.
yeah.
When I learned about that fact about him, I was blown away about
Tom,
that.
Tom, Tom is probably the best kept secret in Hollywood. The man is a musician, an actor,
Mhm.
a writer, a
Mhm.
comedian, an artist. I mean,
Mhm.
there is. I've not seen anything Tom cannot do. Take some time sometimes and go look on YouTube. He's not doing a lot of his vlogs anymore, but he's got close to like 90 different episodes on there, and there's some really funny stuff.
Mhm.
Talking about the Stardome, I mean, he's got a. I've done a lot of puppetry stuff with my church in the past, years and years in the past, and Tom pulled out a puppet at the Stardome for the very first time. He showed it to me in the green room. He says, "I just bought this. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this." And it happened to be the very same company I bought all my puppets at my church with. I said, "Oh, I know these. These are great. These are great puppets." He's got a bunch of episodes on there where he does this puppet called Mr. Blue. Just do a YouTube search on Tom Wilson, Mr.
Okay.
Blue. Oh, anytime I'm around Tom, my jaw hurts for days afterwards. But he's got some great stuff on there with this puppet called Mr. Blue. There's one where he's actually on a ski lift up in Colorado somewhere, and Mr. Blue on a ski lift with him. And oh my goodness, it's hilarious. So
Yeah.
Tom, I could spend the rest of our time tonight talking about the talents that are Tom Wilson. So he's the
Mhm.
he's the ultimate in my book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read his novel that he wrote about
Yeah.
the Masked Man, about the Lone Ranger.
Yes.
That was a really good book.
It really is, and it take the time because he's actually recently converted that into an audio book. And
Oh,
all on YouTube now, so he's actually reading every chapter, and he just finished that up maybe 2 months ago.
hmm
Oh, okay.
And
Wow.
he's it's free. You can go and listen to Tom
Mhm.
Wilson read his own book. And so what one of the things that's gratifying to me is he talks about doing conventions, and I was actually at the convention with him that he writes. He doesn't mention me there, but he's talking about being at Chiller Theater, and
hmm
I was in the room with him at Chiller Theater. I was the one who brought him to Chiller back in 2002. And so when I read some of these things and I go, "Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun." But we were in a room with Lou Ferrigno, who's actually going to be at
Mhm.
the expo this month, and
Yeah.
so we cut up with Lou all weekend long, and Bernie Capel from the Love Boat, and Jill Whalen from the Love Boat,
Mhm.
and what's Burt Young, Paulie from Rocky was in there,
hmm
Mhm. Oh,
and then
yeah.
a gentleman that was like on the uh, I'm thinking Planet of the Apes TV show. Planet of the
Mhm.
Apes TV show. We're all in this room, and we had a lot of fun that weekend. And so I was Tom's handler for that, and we did Dragon Con the next year, and so I've done a lot of shows with Tom. It's a lot of fun.
Well, judging by what he said about that convention experience, I was afraid he wasn't going to get out and do conventions anymore, but he's back on the circuit.
Yeah, he went a very long time and did not do any shows.
Mhm.
And he did come out and he did shows for several years. He is doing one this month in Burbank with Chris and Leah. I understand, I haven't talked to him in several weeks now, but I think he's only really doing local shows right now. COVID just has done a number on everybody. And
Yeah.
he's told me, stand up is dead right now. I mean, it just, there's just nobody booking stand up comics right now. And so it's been tough on a lot of Hollywood who rely on, TV shows and TV appearances and stand up comic, appearances and a lot of that, even, Comic Cons. I mean, it disrupted the whole thing for a long time. And so, and some folks are coming back now. I mean, I know, these shows right now are some of the first ones that Leah has done since it's all, I say gone away. I don't think it's really truly gone away, but we're in a better place than we were 2 years ago. And so, but yeah, he right now, I understand he's just doing local shows, but I'm hoping that he will get back out there and do some more and with their cast members. So.
Well, speaking of other cast members, you've like you said, you have met quite a few of them. Tell us about who you know. I mean, it's certainly always interesting to hear stories like that.
Well, I have met Michael a few times. I mean, I wouldn't dare say that I know Michael. Michael and I have met several times. I interviewed him for my old Hill Valley Telegraph newsletter back in the mid '90s. I met him at the Burbank show back in 2009, 2018. I got to see him in Boston. So I've seen Michael several times. Michael would not know me. He might recall my name if somebody mentioned him, but I've met Christopher Lloyd many times. Always have to remind Christopher who I am. The Jim Ignatowski tends to come out real a lot. He just forgets who I am, but I've been around Chris probably 15 times. So I have a lot of good stories with Chris. But met Leah a number of times. Leah knows who I am. And so, but, a lot of the, I won't say lesser known actors, a lot of the characters that are not the, marquee characters. I know a lot of the folks. I talked to Ricky Dean Logan, who was one of the hoverboard characters in part 2. I talked to him a lot. Darlene Vogel, who was also one of the hoverboard riders in part 2. She was also the spokesperson in the Back to the Future of the Ride. She was in the pre-show.
That's right.
So she's one of the few people who play 2 completely different characters that aren't related to each other. And so, like I said, I know Claudia really well. I talked to Claudia a lot. Just a lot of folks. I mean, there's not anybody in Back to the Future that I've run across that are bad people. I mean, there's just they're very giving to all their fans. There are a few I have never met. So I've never met Crispin Glover. Crispin is a unusual individual.
I've heard stories.
I've never met Crispin. I've never met Mary Steenburgen. I would love to meet Mary sometime. Mary, I understand from a lot of people, a lot of the cast members, that she's just a really sweet lady, and I hope our paths will cross one day. I've been in the room with Bob Zemeckis, but I've never met Bob Z. I hope that's in the cards one of these days. I've never met Elizabeth Shue. And so there's just there's a few that I've never met, but I've interviewed a bunch of them back, like I said, back when I used to do the newsletter and interviews for the website, and back in the early days. I've talked to a lot of them. Neil Canton was one of the producers with Bob Gale, and so I've met Neil a number of times, talked with him over the phone. It's been a number of years since I've talked to Neil. Super, super nice guy. And Dean Cundy I've met a number of times. Jeffrey Wiseman, who took over the role of George McFly. I know Jeffrey really well. I've met him at multiple car shows and events over the years, and he's just a sweetheart of a guy. He's just a super, super nice guy. And so Don Full of Love, who played Goldie Wilson. I know Don.
Mayor.
Oh yeah, the mayor, Goldie Wilson. He's just super, super sweet guy. And Harry Waters Jr., who played Marvin Berry. I know him. So just so many folks from Back to the Future. Michael Clastorin, who was the unit publicist for 2 and 3, has written a number of books on the series. He did the Ultimate Visual History, and there's been a revision of that that's come out in the last couple of years. And so I've worked on a number of projects with Michael, and he's got a new book coming out on the musical later this year. And so he did a really, I don't own it, I need to, but he did a really great visual book on Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And so he got to interview Spielberg and did a lot of stuff for that. So for these books, I mean, he's all in. If you've never read his book, the complete visual history of Back to the Future, he chronicles the entire filming of all 3 films. He's got all the call sheets, and he said, okay, this week this scene was filmed, and this character and this actor, and he just goes through the whole thing, all 3 films.
Wow.
And Michael J. Fox wrote a foreword, and Bob Gale and Zemeckis and Christopher Lloyd wrote some pieces for it. And so he really pulled out all the stops and got to go to the Amblin's vault and get a lot of, very hard to find, until that book came out, a lot of photos that had never been seen before. And there's a lot of inserts in there. There's like the Jaws 19 poster, a lenticular picture of Marty and his siblings, just a lot of really neat paper props that are inserted in the book. And so check it out. There's like I said, it came out for the 30th anniversary, and he put out a 35th anniversary 2 years ago that was a revision that included the musical and some other things that had come out since the 30th. And so added some extra things in there. And so really great.